to an aquarium to go on the Project Piaba expedition on the Rio Negro out of Manaus to support that proven sustainable fishery. And I went on that expedition, and it was, for me, it was super weird because I'm around a bunch of academics and scientists and people who don't actually know what we do and have a lot of preconceived notions about what the aquarium industry is, right? So go on that. I'm on this boat without internet or phone for 2 weeks, which for somebody that says OCD and control freak as me was kind of like torture. But so it was like, I can support the concept of it, but I'm like, I don't actually know how to implement it because the fish are coming out of such soft water. They're like from 3.5 to 5.0 water.
Oh, okay.
And you know, putting these fish that have a really, really long supply chain, it's like 30 days from when they're collected until they're received someplace in the U.S. And they don't have any great food on the river because there's no refrigeration or electricity, and everything is rancid, and it's a mess. So the majority of the U.S. has pH in their water in excess of 7.8. So on this, while I had nothing else to do because I can't access the internet, I'm on the boat and I'm thinking, how can the industry in the U.S. support this? Because it's interesting, it's like a slap in the face to see what happens to a fishery if we don't actively support it. So if we're not paying fishers to collect fish, then they go to do mining or deforestation or cattle farming or things that really negatively impact the rainforest. So what I did is come here and invest $180,000 in these two systems. They're RO blend systems. We have half RO and then half double softened water. So the pH is only 7.2 to 7.3. We feed a lot of live feed here to get them eating again, and then switch over to prepared feed. And then after between 1 to 2 weeks, depending on what the fish is and what their condition is, once they're fully acclimated to that, then we can let them go and let them go through the rest of the retail chain.
Okay, so you're essentially acclimating them to be captively kept, right?
Exactly.
Because right now they're all set to be from the wild in completely different conditions than what we provide them.
That's right.
And then, of course, we want to preserve these fish because, like you said,
they're important to the rainforest. They're important to the fishermen, and they're important to us as breeders of fish. We also breed cardinal tetras, which is the biggest fish exported from the Rio Negro. It's important for us to have genetic diversity, and in order to do that, we've got to continually bring in wild fish. So, and as you'll see, not everything in these systems comes from the Rio Negro. There are some fish that really need to have a longer acclimation period. They're soft water fish that are coming in. The majority of the fish in these two systems is wild caught.
Now, wild caught versus captive bred. Mm-hmm. I know in a meeting at the Tampa Bay Aquarium Society, you kind of discussed it. You said you breed cardinal tetras, but cardinal tetras is definitely one of the biggest exporters, and it's actually sustainable to collect wild because of the way they breed,
right? Correct? And so there's two different consumers, and that's the biggest thing, is figuring out which fish to market to which consumer. So somebody that's old, like me, I was brought up wanting to have tank raised because they're easier, they have higher survivability, whatever, right? And so to people of my age bracket, tank raised really appeals to them. However, for the millennials who are more cause-driven, they're up for the challenge. Wild fish can be more challenging and ultimately more rewarding.
Right. There's definitely been a change, I think, in understanding of how to keep fish, as well as it's a lot easier nowadays than what it was, right?
Yeah,
you have
it really
the
is.
internet, so you have a lot more information in order to know how to keep these things versus back in the day where you just had probably a couple magazines or.
Yeah, we had one magazine. Well, maybe two, right? I had TFH, as regular reader, right?
Yeah, it's all trial and error back then, right?
Axelrod, yeah. So there are things that we do in these systems and in every system. So if the fish need, let's say, these gobies, if we want to provide a little bit more protection in there to calm them down if they're a little bit skittish or they want to hide from an aggressor, we'll use either plastic plants that we can sterilize in between uses, or we use cut up garbage bags, which serves the same purpose.
Okay.
It's a cheap and efficient alternative.
Okay, to reduce stress.
Exactly. Some fish like to hide in caves, or they like to burrow, so we'll offer PVC with the same logic. It gives them a place to get away from the light or an aggressor.
Got some rays here too.
Toros. So in Florida, there are a number of species that we have to have a permit to possess in a closed system. We have to sell them out of state only. Podoma trigon stingrays are one of those examples because there is a very real chance of them becoming invasive. They are very controlled in the state. We specialize in rare and unusual fish. So we carry at any given moment from 700 to 900 different species of freshwater fish on a daily basis. 1/3 of those changes from week to week because variety is what drives our category. It's not what did you have 6 months ago or last week, what do you have new for us today? We also use that RO blend idea on tank raised discus from Asia. They're raised in 6.0 water, and the breeders in Asia never vary that, even though it varies tremendously on the Amazon. You go from like 3.5 up to like 7.0 on the Amazon, just with the rise and fall of the water. When they're tank raised, they don't do that. So it actually weakens the fish.
Raising them?
By not changing the pH like what happened in nature.
Right,
so these fish are actually weaker than wild fish from the Amazon.
Right. Yeah. I've seen that with even guppies. And the hardier fish they are.
Right.
Some people keep them in certain conditions, and they say the lines have gotten weaker over time.
They really have. So, like these fish, we have these at like 7.2, with the temperature is raised. We add black water extract to make them happy. I would turn on some Barry White music if it made him happy.
Barry White.
On the other hand, wild discus, I could put them in any one of these normal systems, and they are super happy.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah. Access to county water if we need it, but we're using wells from these deeper wells. These are 800 feet wells. Bringing it up, putting it through fluidized sand filters, degassing. Over here, you can smell the hydrogen sulfide come off of the water. So the water at this facility is loaded with ammonia and hydrogen sulfide, and we have to air that off and get rid of it.
City or anything ever gave you problems about having well water?
No, the wells are permitted. So that's actually, those well permits are perhaps more valuable to us than the property because they're not building any more wells. It's not legal to dig anymore. So when we're looking at property, we're looking for the well rights.
Yeah, imagine as a fish farm, water is a valuable resource.
Absolutely critical. So here you can see that level of mold that I was talking about before. And that's just detritus and dead bacteria and things that are really no longer useful to the filtration of the water. And that will have to be removed and that sand will be replaced. They have guppies. That is a guppy system and occasionally babies get out. And it's kind of an impossible place to get them back out of. And then too, we've got a plico of some type in each one of these because these are all exposed to natural sunlight and algae grows on them. And so there's enough algae to actually support a plico in there. So we use the plico to get rid of the algae out here so it doesn't build up in the aquariums inside. So out here it's the same with the exception of this is a truly a protein skimmer. And we can use this in freshwater because we use enough salt to make it effective. And then we have the ozones going in at the top before it goes out to the mechanical filtration.
You said you use enough salt to make it effective?
To make a protein skimmer work.
Okay,
right? Because in pure fresh water, you can't skim off the protein.
Okay. So you put all your fresh water.
We've got salt in all of these, yeah. So we've got our salt ranges from, I think the lowest TDS we have is 2.5 and the highest goes, it depends on what we're trying to do. The highest is an average, it usually is 6. There's on occasion that we'll take a couple systems up to 8 if we're trying to fix some kind of external bacterial problem, and those fish can tolerate it.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
So something that's out here that we didn't have on those systems inside is almost every system we have here, we have a chiller on it. We keep the temperature lower than what you would keep it at home because we're trying to cure a lot of bacteria and parasite issues, and a lot of them are really temperature sensitive. So if we can fix it with water temperature instead of using chemicals, we're not creating treatment-resistant bacteria.
Okay, so that's kind of the opposite of what I've learned like online. So you keep it cooler.
We keep it cool. We keep it 73 degrees.
Like you want to increase the heat to bring out the bacteria.
Never right. So it's kind of like a hospital. Think of this as a hospital. You never go into a hot hospital for the same reason. We want to prevent or slow down the breeding of the bacteria. So on the inside, these are all acrylic systems, and some of them, most of them, these are between 15 and 20 years old. They go through a lot of use. So the fronts are not as clear as they were when they were brand new because they get scrubbed at least every week. So we made them, there's a couple tricks to what we did. There's like, if they're fish that jump, we gave them edges, so when they generally jump at the corners of the tank. So right here there's like semi-covered, so we don't have nearly as many jump out as we did with glass aquariums. But then some, if they're really notorious for jumping, we'll cover those tanks. So we got MAX certified. We're one of the first companies to get MAX certified, however long ago that was, 20 years ago. The Marine Aquarium Council certification about traceability from the reef all the way through to the retailer, and we still use that technology and that traceability with every fish that comes in here. So every fish that comes in here, I know what vendor that came from, what day that came from, what purchase order number it was related to, who in our company handled that fish, who picked it, who boxed it, who bagged it, and what retailer it went to. So a lot with the local fish farming community. We've got about 100 fish farms in this 50-mile radius of us. It's the fish farming capital of North America. We do raise some of our own fish, but really only really a handful of SKUs. We raise blowfish, and that's a really important category to us. But we don't raise everything that we sell. So we buy from all of those fish farmers, and then we also import from around the world. So like every continent, every week, except Antarctica. And the only day that I don't have fish in the air is Christmas Day. So So one of the things that we're really, really proud of, the Florida farmers, specifically is with the rams and the rainbows. That's produced by Florida farmers, and those are better than anything else available on the market anywhere else in the world. And we're proud that those fish come from Florida. So in the U.S., they have to be colored up. They have to have adult coloration because this is the land of immediate gratification.
That sounds about right.
So we have rainbows that are between 6 and 12 months old before we're taking them to market, so they're in full adult coloration.
Oh wow, yeah, it's a huge selling point. I imagine when you're getting into the because
You gotta wait years for it to get.
yeah, someone see. I mean, the average hobbyist is not gonna look at a rainbow and be amazed when they don't have colors, right?
Exactly. Same as peacock cichlids, right? You can't sell a peacock cichlid if it's gray with highlights in yellow. Yeah, so these ones here are obviously really juiced, and these are just getting put away. So they're still kind of feeling like I've been in the bag for 40 hours because I have. So
They look amazing.
yeah, so they're great. So
They
they're
look
fed
amazing.
methyltestosterone feed so that they brings out the adult coloration, but not so long that it's gonna mess up their ability to reproduce. So that is a temporary color until it'll last
Right, so there's a balance that has to be
45
kept.
days. Right, because they don't want to mess up their reproductive capacity.
And then we'll get things like this, but this is a really rare strain.
Right.
Albino
Yeah,
Tobu.
so this is a natural line red strain of that location. So we're going to stock these as well as your classic peacocks as well, so it's not.
Right.
So this has been like the hottest for us. This has been like the hottest new fish outside of glowfish in maybe the past 5 years, and because they're not nearly as aggressive, they're super colorful. They're not terribly expensive as far as Africans go. They make great display tanks. So
Right.
for aquarium maintenance, people putting up a tank in the doctor's office or something like that, this is like the go-to fish.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people set it up almost like a saltwater tank
Right,
for
exactly.
the maintenance of the freshwater fish, right?
And you got things like the rainbow sharks behind you that are kind of like the animals on the CARES list. This is a great fish and a really good example in the industry that
The great ones are on the kids?
yeah. They're basically extinct in the wild. There was a small population in 2006, right? And that was it. And it's basically habitat destruction. Because it's so strong in the hobby and so readily bred commercially, this animal will never go extinct, largely due to the aquarium industry. So it's got a good story, and it really kind of introduces that thought into taking part in the CARES program.
So this is the newest line of glowfish. They are glowfish sharks. It's super interesting. And it's kind of like another category within that. So we're trying to have a bottom glowfish.
Right, just a lot of things.
Right, very interesting. Really interesting fish. I was always upside. So another industry staple and personal favorite is angelfish. So we only buy our angels from Florida farmers, and we test for the possible virus that they carry every 6 months to make sure that we're not sending sick fish into the hobby.
That's Ellen's. Put them on the napkin, isn't it?
So that's like one of Elwin's greatest successes, and so one of his Ross and he, in their massive wisdom, they were raising gouramis, and they found a variant one year and thought they were going to take over the entire fish industry with this variant. So they planted 3/4 of their farm in this gourami, and
wow.
it failed
3/4?
because it was a marble kisser. And they didn't ask anybody else what their opinion was.
Oh, because they wanted to keep it secret. That's funny
Well,
stuff.
that's how we have marble kissers.
So mainly your facility is all the same water except for those few that you're acclimating?
Right, except for... Oh my God, look at that! Sorry. Yeah, except for the level of salinity, and then the only other thing besides salinity that is different about the water is we treat different fish for different pathogens. So we'll be treating, depending on what we're treating for, we'll treat for external bacteria and parasites, and we'll treat the entire system. And we'll stock that system only with fish that should be having that treatment.
Okay.
And one of the best things about Segrest Farms is Elwin has been able to attract some really incredible talent to our team. So the business, of course, it's about the animals and the people that love the animals. He has found some amazing pet professionals, fish professionals, and kind of got them all together. And even though their personalities might clash at some time, we are always making decisions on what is in the best interest for the fish, and leaving the personalities outside the door.
Now,
So as we've grown, our board, our executive board, is actually 6 people who were former competitors.
oh wow.
So, and they work great as a team. Very proud of them.
Now, you have this huge facility, and you're spread everywhere. I mean, you've got different facilities you have to travel to. You got lots of work on your plate. But still, you make time to come to our local aquarium club, which is
Yes.
amazing. Amazing that you just come out there and just hang out with us.
I was so glad to, because I'd been in too many board meetings and stuff like that, and I needed to be around some animals.
Yeah.
Because that keeps me grounded. It reminds me, that's what the part that I love.
So, in the club, what do you think are some of the things that you like most about the club? Is it just bonding with some of the other hobbyists? Is it seeing what trends are going on? Is it a little bit business and a little bit personal, or is it more?
I think it's mostly personal. It's having friends with the same passions, and meeting people who I will never know as much as they do about the fish that they're passionate about. I have to know a little bit about a whole lot of fish, and I can go to some people and they know everything that there is to know about that one species of fish. So they're great resources for me, besides being friends.
Okay, so we touched on Project Piaba. As a hobbyist, how can we help with conservation of fish, as well as I believe on your website there's also donation links for certain
For
programs.
coral restoration efforts, absolutely.
So
So
what is
I
the
think
best?
that working with your retailer, if they're conscious of what conservation efforts are happening within the marketplace, like Project Piaba or like Rising Tides or Coral Reef Restoration, etc., if they're supporting any of those, they should have a lot of information on the products that they're selling and which of those animals are supporting conservation efforts. So really easily with cardinal tetras, they should clearly be able to tell you, even if they're not really cognizant of Project Piaba, they should be able to tell you whether or not the cardinals are tank raised or if they're wild caught, just like any other fish that they're carrying. And if they're wild caught, we all know through the studies of Project Piaba that those fish cannot be overfished just by the nature of the river.
Is there anything you want to add before we kind of wrap it up?
That we're open for tours. I love doing tours, and I think that it's important for people to know, to understand their supply chain, to understand where their animals come from. Right. So if you want to have a tour, send an email to tours@segrestfarms.com and we will set it up.
All right, so tours are typically done by appointment only, so
Right, by appointment only, because I don't have people, I'm not staffed to, just take people off of their normal duties, anytime somebody shows up, but we want people to see what we do.
have all these fish, right? I mean,
Temporarily, you know,
Yeah, you're just like
I don't get to know them.
you don't get to know
It's like speed dating.
speed dating.
Front building, we're like, we're never gonna outgrow this. It's huge.
it's huge.
And it was compared to where we moved from, this little place in Parrish, and then never thought, you know. So it's grown from that to, we had like 30 employees at that time, and now we've got 4 distribution facilities and 6 production facilities and 550 employees.